Go.
I'll get this down eventually. Well, just to recap the game, not a lot of new news from what I saw on the field. I was real proud of how the team came out of the locker room. My biggest concern to start the game was how we managed our anxiety. And it was important that we didn't go out there and lose focus and do some things that seem simple day to day, but they don't look so simple on game day. And so that was what I was most pleased of in the beginning. We came out, we were playing fast, we were executing, we were getting hats on offense, the runners were running hard, and so it gave us a real boost, I think, early in the game. I mean, we obviously dominated the game. We did have some breakdowns that are going to be costly. We play some more talented opponents, and we got to correct those things. You know, we failed to score in the red zone, all because of breakdowns, penalties, that sort of thing. And there's a lot of other little issues that we need to correct. Felt like we had a good game on special teams. You know, if you look at all the phases, we controlled the vertical field position of the game, and I think that's what made it hard on their offense. They had a long way to go. We netted 40 yards a punt, which is really good, and 2 inside the 10. Their drive start after a kickoff was averaged at 20, which is really good. Our drive start after their kickoff was about the 42, which is really good. The only phase we did a poor job on was punt return. We made our field goals, and I'm concerned about where we are at punt return because we should never have a mishandled punt, and then we didn't execute very well. Our players of the week this week we give these out every week as a coaching staff. So I mean, it's no big deal, but I'm just letting you know. We gave it to Torrin Poole and Denarius Moore, and our defense to Austin Johnson and Prentice Wagner, and Daniel Lincoln on special teams. And Bob, you got your own player of the week. I don't know how.
We're the same guy, though,
we do okay as a staff. Okay. Our injury situation right now, Gerald Jones is out for Oregon. Suffered I guess you could say a broken hand or a little bone in the hand. I don't know all the specifics, but he's definitely out for Oregon, and I think he's probably definitely out the next game too. Unfortunate, but that's part of football. Gerard Shaw and Denarius Moore a little banged up at the ankle, and they're just day to day, and we'll see how they progress. Looking ahead at Oregon, Pac-10 champions, a lot of confidence. What you see on the film, you see great coaching. You see a very talented football team. You see a team that you can tell they're experienced. I mean, they had, as good as they were last year, I think they had 17 guys back out of 22. And it shows. They're fast, they play physical, they're very disciplined, they're excellent on special teams, and they're just a high-level ball club on all phases. They're not really any weakness. So it's going to be one heck of a challenge for us, and we're going to get ready to go. That's all I got.
With Gerald out, Mary's possibly out, it seems like you're going to have to put these true freshmen in situations right now.
Yeah. Well, Zach will start if Gerald's out, Zach Rogers, and he'll do good. But the freshman, yeah, we're going to have to bring him along a little quicker than we probably anticipated. So that's why we signed him, you know, because we don't have a lot of depth. That's kind of where we are at that position. It's really sort of a microcosm of a lot of other positions. We have some seniors and we have some freshmen, and so that's where we are.
They didn't seem to make a lot of plays, at least in the passing game on Saturday night. Was that by design to bring them along a little bit slower?
The freshmen?
Yeah.
No. They didn't really have a lot of opportunity, you know, and Rick caught a pass, which is, it's always good to get that first one under your belt. And he looked calm, and, you know, it seemed very simple, but he looked good doing it. But, you know, once Tyler went in, especially in the fourth quarter, I just didn't think it was right to throw the ball. So I would have liked to get him to run routes and throw him some balls, but I just didn't think that was the right thing to do as a coach. You know, we can develop on the next one.
Rick,
and Justin backs up Denarius.
But in terms of Derek's overall development, kind of where is he compared to Zach?
Made a lot of strides the last couple of weeks. Struggled a little bit early in camp. Justin showed up a lot early in camp, and then Justin, of course, got put on the shelf, so that set him back. Derek has done well the last couple of weeks, so we expect him to get better every week.
How behind is Justin?
He's okay. He just needs to get out there and play. I don't know how to quantify how behind he is. He's a true freshman, so you don't know how much further along he would be if he would have had 8 more practices. He'd be further along, but how much, it's hard to say. The best experience is to get out there and play, and they'll certainly have that chance Saturday.
How much bigger or how much different is the challenge for your defense this week? Oh
man, I mean if there's a more explosive offense in the country, I don't know if there's a more explosive one. There's probably plenty of them that are as explosive. Probably them and Bama, the two best running back combination that you'll see in the country. I mean, they had their best runner out, and you see how bad that hurt them last week. Nobody ever stops them. You just got to slow them down and try to be sound fundamentally, and try to get some breaks here and there. You got to play well on offense.
Derek's spread zone rate is so pervasive now in college football. When you decided to hire Justin Wilcox, in the back of your head, how much of a factor was that he had defended so many of those?
It's funny because his biggest adjustment in this league is the old-fashioned two-back power, and because he didn't have to defend it much at Boise, and he even acknowledged it. So the game has evolved a lot to that, but in this league is still a little bit more traditional than the rest of the country. And was it a factor? I think the factor was being multiple and having to defend everything. Certainly you want a coordinator who's proven he's done that, and Justin did. So it wasn't just focused on the spread, because I know in this league you got to be able to stop hard-nosed football.
Obviously, with Florida, that's the team you're trying to get over in the SEC. They do some of that type of stuff too.
Yeah, they do. Mississippi State does. Bama doesn't. Georgia doesn't. LSU kind of in between. So it's a mix.
How similar is Florida though as Oregon does something?
They're a little different in some ways. I mean, every spread offense has their own little family of stuff they do, and it all kind of comes from their coaching tree and where they started. And, you see a lot of, we saw a lot of what Florida did with Utah State. I think there's that background at Utah and Utah State, and they're all a little different. It's just like a pro style. Everybody's a little different, and I think there's elements of some spread in what we do, even though it didn't look like it. There's elements of some pro style every now and then and some spread things, but it's just a multiple deal. Well, these guys are good because they believe in their system. They have very good coaches, and they have phenomenal players. And so it doesn't matter what you run. When you have those three combinations, you're going to be pretty good on offense.
Coach Matt Sims was talking about his father, kind of dissecting things after the game, and getting that kind of coaching. And could you talk about that a little bit, and then do you relate to him?
What did he say?
He just said, after he said his dad wanted practice film, he told him he didn't get it to him.
That's well trained. That's good for Matt. It can be a plus and it could be a negative. I mean, it's no different than, the Little League dads you go out and see. I have a lot of respect for Matt's father. I know him, and I've appreciated how he's handled the whole situation. I've had one conversation with him when I got the job, and that was it. And I think that says a lot about, he's making it very clear he doesn't want to be Matt's quarterback coach or meddle in the situation, and I appreciate that. And so, but, I mean, I can't, you know, every dad is probably coaching their son in some level. I mean, that's just how it is. The good news for Matt is that his dad actually played and has some pretty good knowledge.
Coach, when you sit down with a kid who has made his first start, watch film afterwards, are you more meticulous, pay more attention to detail in your approach, making sure he sees this or that?
I'm pretty much the same. I'm probably a little harder, because the expectations to me are the same no matter who it is. You know, the expectation is it's 100% perfect execution. I don't know any other way to say it. And we didn't give him too much to where that's not an unreasonable standard. You know, now it would have been unreasonable if we would have gone out there and tried to do 8 million things and expected that, but the standard never changes in what we expect, and we got to make sure the standard is fair. You know, because you can make it unfair.
During the mock,
Go ahead.
during the mock game, you had listed like 26 different things that you wanted to go over and perfect before the first game. How would you kind of evaluate your performance and your staffs, and did any of those get checked off?
Yeah, we cleaned up a lot of issues, and I thought the administration of the game was great by our coaching staff. But let me preface that by saying it was an easy game to administer. You know, there weren't a lot of headaches because of what was happening on the field. The players were playing so well and executing so well, it just made it easy on the coaches, I think. So you know, we'll have a little different test this week.
You think Ray John you'll earn more playing time with the way he played Saturday?
It was good to see Ray John. He showed his ability, you know, and a couple of those runs, you know, looked fresh out of high school, and he could get hurt if he tried a couple of those